In recent months, a series of provocative statements by a high-profile attorney for former President Trump has ignited a debate over the integrity of immigration enforcement and the principles of due process in the United States. These remarks, delivered during a nationally broadcast appearance, have stirred controversy by intertwining allegations of human trafficking with pointed critiques of current administrative policies. This report delves into the substance of those claims, scrutinizes their broader implications, and explores how they reflect and potentially reshape the discourse on law enforcement, civil liberties, and political accountability. At the heart of the matter lies a controversial assertion made by Trump's attorney, Alina Habba. In her comments, Habba outlined a portfolio that allegedly encompasses issues ranging from human extortion and labor exploitation to cyber and financial extortion, all linked to cross-border trafficking. She detailed disturbing instances involving minors, women, and other vulnerable individuals who are reportedly trafficked across the nation's borders and subjected to severe mistreatment. Habba's narrative is unequivocal. If the American public were to learn even a fraction of the alleged realities, many would demand that those responsible be removed from the country. Such statements raise profound questions about both the moral underpinnings and the practical implications of contemporary immigration policies. A critical aspect of this narrative involves a stark juxtaposition. Habba's emphatic denunciation of human trafficking stands in contrast with recent actions taken by the very administration she represents. Notably, the administration recently secured the release of Andrew Tate, a figure charged in Romania with rape and human trafficking. Tate, known for his outspoken support of Trump, has become emblematic of a broader, often contradictory, political messaging that intertwines legal controversy with partisan allegiances. The apparent contradiction between condemning trafficking in principle while facilitating the release of an accused trafficker suggests an underlying tension in policy and political alignment, one that has significant implications for public trust and the perception of justice. The debate is further complicated by the administration's approach to enforcing immigration law, particularly with regard to alleged gang members from Venezuela. Advocates for strict border security have, in recent weeks, defended swift deportations of individuals accused of gang affiliation. However, a faction of legal experts and political commentators has urged caution. They argue that such measures, if executed without robust legal proceedings, could undermine the foundational principle of due process. The concept of due process is central to American jurisprudence, ensuring that every individual is afforded a fair opportunity to contest allegations in a court of law before any irreversible action, such as deportation, is taken. Former federal prosecutor Glenn Kersner encapsulates this concern. With 3 decades of experience in the criminal justice system, Kersner warns against allowing executive action to substitute for judicial oversight. He contends that bypassing established legal protocols not only jeopardizes the rights of those accused but also sets a dangerous precedent. When government authorities label individuals as gang members without sufficient evidentiary support or a formal hearing, they risk eroding the very safeguards designed to protect the innocent from arbitrary state action. In this context, the insistence on due process is not merely a legal formality, it is a bulwark against the potential misuse of power. This debate has not been confined to legal circles alone. Prominent political figures have weighed in on the issue, reflecting deep divisions in public opinion. For instance, J.D. Vance, a noted commentator and political figure, recently took to social media to decry what he described as a dangerous inconsistency in the application of law. Vance contended that while violent criminals and rapists should be swiftly removed from the country, the release of individuals accused of trafficking, especially when such actions are perceived to be politically motivated, undermines America's commitment to the rule of law. His comments echo a broader concern among conservatives who pride themselves on being champions of law and order, yet now find themselves questioning whether the current practices are consistent with those long-held principles. As the controversy unfolds, it is important to recognize the broader implications for both civil liberties and the nation's legal framework. Critics argue that if the government is allowed to act on allegations without corroborating evidence and without affording individuals the right to a fair hearing, the door is open to a host of abuses. Today, the focus is on alleged Venezuelan gang members. Tomorrow, it could be another group defined solely by political expediency. The risk is that such practices could pave the way for a system in which fear and suspicion override the presumption of innocence, a cornerstone of American democracy. The concerns extend beyond the immediate legal ramifications. They touch upon the credibility of the institutions that are meant to safeguard individual rights. For many, the erosion of due process is not merely a legal misstep but a signal of broader governmental overreach. It suggests a future where executive decisions could be influenced by partisan loyalty rather than impartial justice, thereby undermining the public's faith in the rule of law. Such a scenario could have profound repercussions for the nation's democratic fabric, as trust in the legal system is critical for maintaining social cohesion and political stability. The current political environment further complicates the issue. With the administration leveraging social media platforms to disseminate its message, there's a growing concern that dissenting voices may be silenced. The power wielded by a handful of tech conglomerates, whose policies and practices are not always transparent, adds an additional layer of complexity. Critics warn that the ability of these platforms to shape public discourse, particularly in politically charged contexts, could have a chilling effect on investigative journalism and independent analysis. If critical reporting is curtailed, the public may be left with a skewed perspective on policies that have far-reaching consequences for civil liberties and national security. In addressing these intertwined issues, one must consider the inherent tension between ensuring public safety and upholding the principles of justice. On one hand, there is an undeniable need to protect communities from criminal elements, particularly those involved in trafficking and violent crime. On the other hand, the indiscriminate application of power without due process undermines the very legal standards that are essential to a functioning democracy. This delicate balance is at the core of the current debate, a debate that demands both rigorous legal scrutiny and a commitment to transparency. The unfolding controversy underscores the importance of maintaining a vigilant and informed public. Independent media outlets, investigative journalists, and legal experts all have a critical role to play in holding power to account. Their efforts to examine the facts, question official narratives, and ensure that governmental actions are consistent with constitutional principles are vital to the health of the nation's democracy. As citizens become increasingly aware of these issues, the pressure mounts on elected officials and government agencies to adhere to established legal norms and to operate with a level of transparency that inspires public confidence. In conclusion, the recent statements made by Trump's attorney have sparked a debate that reaches far beyond partisan politics. They have forced the public to confront challenging questions about the balance between security and liberty, the integrity of due process, and the potential consequences of politicizing the enforcement of immigration law. As this controversy continues to unfold, it serves as a stark reminder that the principles enshrined in the nation's founding documents, principles such as fairness, accountability, and the right to a fair hearing, must remain inviolable. Only through a steadfast commitment to these ideals can the United States ensure that its legal system serves as a true guarantor of justice for all, irrespective of political affiliation. This investigative report has sought to provide a comprehensive analysis of the issues at stake. By examining the details behind the controversial rhetoric, the apparent contradictions in administrative actions, and the broader implications for the rule of law, we aim to foster an informed and nuanced public discourse. In a time when political narratives can often overshadow factual analysis, it is imperative that the debate remains rooted in the principles of accountability and justice. The future of American democracy depends on the continued vigilance of its institutions and its citizens, a commitment that must be renewed with every challenge to the rule of law.